Good afternoon, everybody. Big Mike back here with you once again. Welcome back to Big Mike Talks, where today I'm going to be bringing you the week that was in pro wrestling. For now, no Monday Night Raw because I ended up going to the movies on Monday, so I missed a pretty significant chunk of it. So I'm just going to cover NWA Power and AEW Dynamite. Both were very interesting shows for very different reasons. So let's get into this one, starting off with NWA Power, and it's the finale of the Looks That Kill special. And then we get open up with a dual hype video for the two cage matches that are coming later on. So it's going to be Latimer defending the NWA title against EC3, and then Natalia Markova taking on Tiffany Nieves, which is definitely some well built up matches. But we're going to start off with something a little different at first. We're going to start off with Tyler Franks, I believe, making his NWA debut, taking on Max the Impaler. An interesting thing to note, no Father James Mitchell, no Judas, no any backup. So Max is on their own. So it starts off kind of interestingly with Max pretty much overpowering Tyler. Tyler does get some stuff in, including a beautiful drop kick. But ultimately, Max takes control with a bear hug right into a big old clothesline to pick up the win. So, we'll see where a off-the-leash Max the Impaler goes. No James Mitchell. So, then we go backstage for a Tiffany Nieves promo, saying that Looks at Kill. It's the moment we've all been waiting for. We're the first cage match in NWA women's cage match in NWA history. I've been waiting for my opportunity to brutalize you, and no one will know who Markova is ever again. I'm not 100% sure what that means. I guess she's gonna mess her face up or whatever. So then we go into this match, and it's inside of a steel cage, as it's Tiffany Nieves taking on Natalia Markova. And Markova, right on the entrance, sprints down to the ring, gets in the cage, and just starts beating the heck out of Tiffany. Tiffany went then with some cheap shots, including a little bit of an awkward eye poke. Then Tiffany goes over to the ref, unhooks his belt, and starts whipping Markova with it. And of course, this is pinfall submission and escape rules, so we have both parties at a couple of points looking to escape, which I'm going to say this might be a controversial take, but I hate escape rules in cage matches. This is supposed to be two competitors looking to take each other out. You can't do that climbing a side of the cage. It looks silly. So at one point, Markova is up top. She's on top of the cage. She's about to escape. Then she turns around to the inside of the ring, hits a awesome missile dropkick from the top of the cage, goes for the pin, and picks up the win. So, yeah, dropkick ending a match. I don't think I've ever seen that before, but definitely an interesting finish. Hopefully this means Markova and Nieves can go to something else. Not to say this hasn't been a fun feud, but it's time to move on. Then we go backstage to a Tom Latimer interview, the NWA World Champion, saying this cage match, it separates the men from the boys. No more questions, no more talking. Once that door closes, the title will be decided. In other promotions, EC3, you were a made man, madman. Tonight, I bring this back to win this match. So, kind of a bit of a rambling promo from Tom Latimer, but it does get the point across. We then have an NWA Around the Territory segment where we get the announcement of NWA New Mexico. Congratulations. We then get to our main event, and it's for the NWA World title, and it's inside of a steel cage. And EC3, he's not coming alone. He's bringing his Exodus Pro boys, aka the Minions. Not those Minions, but like they're his goons. As he takes on Tom Latimer. And this doesn't start with a lockup. This doesn't start niceties. It starts with just big bombs right off the start. A couple of times EC3 went to escape, but Latimer takes him down, including a wild leg sweep. And then Latimer putting out a moonsault off the ropes. That was crazy looking. One point, Latimer goes up. Then one of the Exodus Pro boys, who has a chair, kind of just starts menacing Latimer with it, which apparently is enough to stop him. So EC3 gets Latimer back in the ring. He goes up himself, grabs the chair from the Exodus Pro guy, and then just starts wailing on him with the chair. Chucks him into the cage. In which, at one point, the cage kind of falls off its hinges. I guess that's where the door was. So the refs get back up and close it, which, bit of an awkward moment, but I'm glad they kept that in. EC3 then sets up their chair in the corner, kind of flat-wise. EC throws Latimer into the cage a couple times. Latimer fights back with an atomic drop clothesline. Hits a big old hip attack. Hits Confusion Bay. Goes for Brighter Side of Suffering, but that gets blocked by EC3. EC3 goes for a 1%er, but that gets blocked as well. Latimer with a Thez press into a pop-up powerbomb. Latimer goes to leave through the door, but EC3 gets him back in. Goes for a big splash. Misses. Hits the referee. Latimer with a spear. Goes for a pin. But no ref is there to count, so he goes up to escape. There's a ref on the outside. But one of the Exodus Pro followers takes out the referee. Latimer lands, thinking he's won. But of course, ref doesn't see it. So the followers attack Tom Latimer on the outside. Then a wild shot with the cage door, which I haven't seen that since like AJ Styles and Abyss back in the day. I mean, I'm sure it's happened a couple of times. Minions throw Tom Latimer back in. EC3 with the Overdriver, which is a great name for a finish. Only gets a 2 count. Attempts the 1%er. Tom Latimer blocks it and then tosses him into the chair in the corner. Hits a pop-up powerbomb. Himself hits a 1%er. And then finishes off with a pile driver to pick up the win. And then at that point, EC3 is on the outside. It's kind of between the ropes and the cage door. He gives Tom Latimer a nod of approval before he falls back into his followers, who carry him off to end the show. That was definitely quite a finale. A bit overbooked main event, but I am more than okay with it. We'll see where NWA goes from here, because it's been pretty entertaining. And I know it's not the same NWA from when it started, but I do feel like it's worth a watch. So if you're not watching NWA, maybe give it a watch sometime this week. And with that, we finish up with AEW Dynamite, the go home for Revolution. Which, if you see, that's a pretty stacked card. And we start off with an MJF promo, except he's not in the arena. He's outside, just outside the arena, saying, "You think Hangman did nothing wrong? He poked and prodded the devil. He has me feeling hungry. And now you got me to prove a point. Hangman, you say you're looking for me. I'm not hard to find. And I got a bullet with your name on it. It says Hangman, Hangman, Hangman." So we're going to be getting to that a bit later. But for now, we go back into the arena, and I'm going to say this. I am loving the venues that AEW have been picking lately. I know they're a bit smaller than the big arenas WWE are doing, but I feel like this fits AEW's style better. Like, it's more interactive with the fans, and the venues are just beautiful. Especially this one. This one was super nice. So we're in the arena, and we get a contract signing between Swerve Strickland and Ricochet. And when Ricochet comes out, he doesn't have the embassy robe. We'll get to that in a minute. So Swerve and Ricochet sit down. Tony Schiavone puts the contract in front of Ricochet. Before he signs it, he's saying, "Oh, did you want to see the robe? I don't have it. But don't worry about the robe. You're going to see it Sunday, and it's getting upgraded." Ooh, so, oh man. Interested to see what that's going to look like. Ricochet then continues, "You're all excited there, Swerve. I've done these before. You don't have to worry about your house being burnt down again." This kind of gets into Swerve's head, who says, "Just sign the contract, Ricochet." Ricochet then continues, "You're lucky I'm here right now. I should have been done with you. But you stuck your nose in my business. You're trying to embarrass me. But I beat you, and that's why you're mad." Swerve then says, "Sign the damn contract." Ricochet then continues, "I'm one more step closer to the AEW title. I'm more focused than ever." And then Swerve, it looks like he's about to hit Ricochet. Ricochet sees this, pulls the contract in front of him, signs it. And then he pokes the bear one more time, says, don't let Nana down. Oh my god. And this sets Swerve off, and he goes on a rant. So I got most of it down, but I'm going to take some bullet points. So he pretty much says, God, you're so freaking annoying. Yeah, I started this one. But a low blow, you think a low blow victory means something? Then you go off, steal Nana's rope. But the mistake you made is that you left me breathing. At Revolution, I'm going to end you. You've now woken up the most dangerous man in AEW. And that's your biggest mistake yet. I'm going to be getting to the AEW title by putting you in the ground. And the thing you'll be known for is a little bit of a push you got here and your announcer wife. So that sets Ricochet off. Swerve signs the contract. He's about to walk off. Ricochet goes to attack Swerve with his scissors. Swerve catches his hand, pulls out his own set of scissors, right in the head. And you can just see Ricochet bleeding to end the segment. I am loving this feud. This is so good. Like I'm loving scummy, squirrely asshole Ricochet. It's a personality I don't think we've ever seen from Ricochet in the WWE. And then Swerve just all intense and just it's something else. I love it. I love the characters. I love the action. And Revolution, that's going to be a fun one. So next we get a look at what the other matches going on Dynamite. Then we get a video announcement that AEW's pay-per-views, starting with Revolution, are going to be shown on Amazon Prime. So that's pretty darn cool. Then we get a look at a couple of the matches going down at Revolution, including the big tag title match. And then Big Boom AJ teaming up with Cassidy and Briscoe to take on members of the Don Callis family on the pre-show. We then get our first of a couple all-star tag team matches, playa. But this time, it's 6-man tag. We got Orange Cassidy teaming up with Mark Briscoe and their partner, Powerhouse Hobbs, and Will Ospreay. So it's 8-man tag to take on the team of Bounty Hunter Brian Keith, Lance Archer, Brian Cage, and Mark Davis of the Don Callis family. And this match was a ton of fun. Everyone looked really good together, except for a segment where it was Cage and Mark Briscoe. It was a little awkward, but eventually we did get it together. At one point, you had Cage in on his own, pretty much taking all the moves from the babyface team. Eventually, he does get out of it, hitting a huge Uranagi. A lot of really good back and forth match. Eventually, Lance Archer goes out of the ring, grabs a chair. Referee bails because he didn't want to get hit. Then Mark Briscoe, with a palm strike to the chair, Lance Archer lets it go. That was crazy. He sets up the chair in the ring, does his triple jump dive to the outside. And I think it was Brian Keith trying to go for an implant buster, but that gets blocked. Into an Ospreay Ozcutter and the Hidden Blade to pick up the win for his team. But then Mark Davis gets back in the ring, gets Ospreay in the sleeper hold. All the heels then come in and just beat down on Will Ospreay. Then out comes Kyle Fletcher, in which we're going to have a cage match between Fletcher and Ospreay. That should be awesome. He joins in the beatdown. Then Mark Davis puts a hand on Fletcher's shoulder. They have a little face-off. Then Cage hands Mark Davis a steel chair. Fletcher is telling him, "You need to do this. He is our enemy." You see Davis is holding back a little. Then you see the chair shot right to the back. Then Kyle Fletcher sets up the chair in the middle of the ring. Hits a big old brain buster through it. And I don't mean into it. I mean through it. It broke the chair. Oh, that match is going to be so good. This entire show, Revolution, is going to be so damn good. I can't wait. Speaking of Revolution, we got a Takeshita versus Omega hype video, which can't wait for that one either. That one's going to be great. Then we get our one and only singles match of the evening. And it's Wheeler Yuta taking on Adam Copeland. And no, I will not be calling him Cope. And for his entrance, with the arena, there's not much of a backstage area for the Wheeler Yuta walk-up. So he starts outside, which is honestly kind of funny looking. Adam Copeland makes his entrance, gets a really big reaction, as he should. And then we start with a lockup, which, you know, I kind of understand, but I don't really understand. Like, the Death Riders have been taking out everybody. You don't start a feud like that with a lockup. Anyway, Cope decides to play with Yuta for a little bit, just hitting some takedowns. But then it gets taken to a bit of a next level with Yuta countering a shoulder tackle attempt into an ankle lock, which that was pretty impressive by Yuta. Copeland gets out of it, hits a monkey flip, which I don't think I've ever seen Adam Copeland do that. Couple arm drags, then locks in an armbar on Yuta. Yuta gets out of it. They trade blows for a little bit, then Copeland gets in Yuta gets in a crossface. But Copeland fights out of it. Yuta with an angle slam, only for a 2 count. Very appropriate. Yuta attempts a cattle mutilation, but Copeland blocks it. Copeland with a crossface, only to be countered into a roll-up for a 2. Copeland with an Impaler DDT, sets up for the spear, goes for it, eats a Busaiku knee, only for Cope to roll to the outside. Yuta gets him back in, only gets a 2 count. Locks in the cattle mutilation. Looks like Cope's about to tap, but Copeland breaks out of it. Hitting a facebuster, whiffing on a first spear, rebounds, hits the spear to pick up the win. Post-match, Copeland gets a microphone. He picks up Yuta, forces a handshake, puts the microphone up to his mouth, and says to him, This is what respect feels like. Then Copeland walks to the back. Moxley comes out, gets in Yuta's face, and kind of bullies him a little bit. Face wash. Just like trying to beat him into submission. So then Yuta pushes Moxley back, heads to the back. Then Moxley just follows him, just berating him. So then Yuta's like, alright, you want to be alone for this? Fine, I'm out. So Yuta walks off. Moxley then turns to the camera, says, congratulations, Copeland. You did it. I'm all on my own. But you think you can kick me out that easily? You just brought out the worst in me. And the bars were there for your safety. What do you think you're going to do to me? Nothing. I'm going to enjoy every second of beating your ass. And you want to show Yuta respect? There is no respect in this business. I'm willing to pull the trigger on Sunday. And I only got to pull the trigger once. I think this was Moxley's best promo under the Death Riders banner. That was great. Because it didn't sound like the same rambling on promo. It actually had some substance in there, which I like in my wrestling. Then we kind of get the funniest thing I have ever seen. It is a kind of Outrunners promo, but it looks like it's on an old VHS tape. Which, if you don't know what a VHS tape looks like, it's like grainy and kind of not depleted, but a little decolored. Which, honestly, that looks good. They talk for a minute, saying, Revolution, this is our shot. We need to win. Then we see it go into the Outrunners montage of them working out, lifting weights, running, doing some running to some old school music. The Outrunners are a gift to wrestling. And as much as I want them to win on Sunday, I don't think Lashley and Shelton Benjamin are losing. Sorry, boys. I want you to be champions. But it's not going to happen. Then we get an attempt of an MJF promo. He's still standing in the street. Renee Paquette walks up. MJF kind of starts saying, I'm going to prove you're not the main character, but I am. Then Hangman Page attempts to run over MJF in his... It looks like a Tesla Cybertruck. I have no idea what kind of car that is. But it has the little, bull horns kind of attached to the front of it, which reminds me of JBL's limo from back in the day. So then Hangman chases MJF into the arena, kind of loses him for a second, but then runs into who he thinks is MJF in Gorilla. So he brings him out to the entrance ramp, chucks him into the barricade, and as he's about to issue a beatdown, you see, it's not MJF. It's someone dressed like MJF. MJF then attacks Hangman from behind, gets him in the ring, attempts a heat seeker, but that gets blocked by Hangman. Hangman looks to hit the buckshot lariat. He misses. MJF with the low blow hits the heat seeker. Then he kind of rips his shirt, Hulk Hogan style, reveals MJF did nothing wrong shirt, which that's absolutely funny. Beatdown on Hangman continues for a little bit until security comes out, but MJF fights them off, in which I think there's handful of them. MJF then is in the corner, puts on the Dynamite Diamond ring, goes for a big punch. Hangman with the takedown and some strikes of his own. Then a few officials get Hangman off of MJF. MJF with the ring shot. Puts it back in his pocket. Goes outside the ring. Grabs a microphone. Says, Hangman, your people love it when you burn things. Let's see if they do when I do it. So MJF puts down the microphone, goes under the ring, brings out a canister of lighter fluid. Gets in the ring, pours it on Hangman, tosses it to the side, brings out a packet of matches, lights it, but refs and security come out and pretty much just tackle MJF. And then all of them pick MJF up and just get him out of the arena with him just screaming. Like, Hangman! Hangman! I had you! Again, this is the stuff I like with AEW. It's great storytelling, and it's oh man, it's so good. Then we have a really, really interesting interview with Ash Alton. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Who directed Queen of the Ring, which included a couple of AEW wrestlers. So he's talking normal, promoting the movie. Then he says, and it would not be without Tony Storm, who then the director starts talking old school like Tony Storm does. With Tony saying, oh, what a magnificent film. It's too bad my nude scene was cut. Director then says, oh, honey, this was a PG-13 movie. Then Tony Storm starts promoting the match with Mariah May coming up, saying, you don't want to watch this one. This could be ugly. And then they just start posing together, which I am so glad that this director got into character with Timeless Tony Storm. That was bravo from a non-wrestler to get into character. I love it when celebrities and non-wrestlers are in on the act. It adds so much to whatever they're involved in. And not just about promoting whatever it is. Anyway, next up we get a women's tag team match as Chris Statlander teams up with Thunder Rosa to take on the team of Megan Bayne and Penelope Ford. And honestly, this was a dang fun match. Getting ton of really talented people on the show. And at one point we see Thunder Rosa attempt on crossbody on Megan Bayne. She catches it. Military press slams Thunder Rosa into Chris Statlander. Turns around, sees Penelope Ford. Picks her up. And military press slams her too. Onto the outside. Like, they are making Megan Bayne look like an absolute monster, and I love it. I'm into it. Eventually, we get back in. Statlander with a Michinoku drop, only for a 2 count. Gets Thunder Rosa back in, who just runs. Statlander and Rosa actually do a whole kind of segment on this. Then Rosa licks Penelope Ford's face before she's about to do a big pile driver that gets blocked. Tags in Megan Bayne, who just absolutely destroys Thunder Rosa. Rosa attempts a scoop slam. That gets blocked. And then Megan Bayne hits her F5, which if I heard right, and I think I did, I think the announcers called it the Face Descent, which is an interesting name. I could be wrong. Tell me in the comments if I'm wrong. To pick up the win for her team. Yeah, they're doing something good with Megan Bayne here. I love this. Speaking of loving this, we then get a Mercedes Moné interview with the interviewer saying, "Are you scared about Momo Watanabe?" With Moné saying, "I already beat her. While Momo is the best in Japan, I am the greatest TBS champion of all time. And my predictions for Collision, in which Deeb is going to face Momo. Deeb is a woman of 1,000 holds, and she is going to break Momo for me. Because Moné changes everything." I absolutely dig that. Moné as a character is way more interesting as a heel than she ever was as a babyface. And this dynamic with Momo Watanabe is definitely really interesting. Then we get the Max Caster Open Challenge, with Max Caster hyping himself up. And Max Caster opponent is former stablemate Switchblade Jay White. So it was the merger of the Acclaimed and Bullet Club Gold, in which we got the Bang Bang Scissor Gang, if you all remember that. So Max slowly taking off his gear, putting his placard on the outside, goes for whatever move he was going for. Jay White grabs him, Blade Runner for the quick win. I'm going to say this, this kind of feels a little pointless. Let's do something else with Max Caster for a little while. Let's get a legit plan for him. And honestly, let's get him some wins. I know I'm probably, in the minority about that. But, I'd like to see Max Caster be built up a little bit. So post-match, Jay White gets on the microphone, says, "At World's End, Cope joined in the fight versus the Death Riders. And now Mox is all on his own at Revolution. I'll be there to see in the new world champion, Copeland." I got a weird feeling Jay White is about to turn. I don't know why, but it feels like he's on the verge of turning. Then we get a little sit-down interview with Mariah May and Toni Storm. And just as the interview is getting underway, Mariah May stands up, gets a little bit into Toni Storm's face, and just spits on her. And Toni just takes it. Mariah May then says, "Look at what you made me do. You started all this. It's all because of us. You are nothing without me." Then Toni Storm, in the most terrifying voice I think I've ever heard out of her, says, "There will be no surviving at Revolution. I'm the sickest bitch in AEW. And this is Mariah May. May did it better." Toni replies, "This trilogy with the greatest co-star I've ever had. We could have had a Hollywood ending. And while your career will continue, it won't be that great. Then eventually you will be replaced and forgotten. This is what happens when you play with God. Holy crap. Yeah, I'm looking forward to this match more than anything. This feud has been absolutely awesome. Can't wait. And then we get our main event as we have Ricochet teaming up with Continental Champion Kazuchika Okada taking on Swerve Strickland and Brody King. And we start off with Swerve and Okada, in which I want to see them one-on-one at some point. I love that they're in this tag match. Give me them one-on-one. And we see, usual chain wrestling. Ricochet tags in. But then Okada gets back in. They hit a cheap shot on Okada. Brody King backs him off. Then Swerve and Brody bring them to the outside of the ring. Okada goes for a big boot, misses its intended target, hits Ricochet. Swerve with a big elbow sits both of them down into a steel chair ringside. Big old Brody King with a big cross body. Swerve with a big stomp. Both of them with a big power slam on the outside. Brody gets his opponent back in. Swerve with an uppercut. Brody with a big senton. Swerve attempts a flatliner that gets caught into a code breaker from Ricochet, which, that's cool. Ricochet tags in Okada. Hits a couple of backbreakers and a big old drop kick. Both men are down. Tags in their partners. And Brody just destroys Ricochet. Including finishing up with a Death Valley driver for a 2 count. Ricochet fights back a little bit, but ends up eating a big splash for a 2 count. Then Okada and Swerve get tagged in again. Swerve with the big old hip toss into a brainbuster, only for a 2. We get dueling powerbomb attempts, but Ricochet finishes up with a DDT. Attempts the spirit gun, whiffs, attempts the vertigo. Swerve blocks it into a roll-up for a 2 count. Swerve with a flatliner into the house call. Hits the Swerve stomp, but that only gets a 2 count. As Okada hits an elbow drop to break it up. Brody King and Ricochet, Okada get in. They start just beating the heck out of each other. King attempts a Death Valley driver that gets blocked. Okada attempts the Rainmaker, but that gets blocked. Brody with a big splash attempts a cannonball, but Okada moves. He then goes up to the outside, grabs his Continental title. Swerve with a house call. He drops the title. Big old clothesline over the top rope. Then Ricochet has the Continental title. And with the ref's back turned, hits Swerve with the belt. Covers him for the 1, 2, 3. And your winners, Ricochet and Kazuchika Okada. That was such a fun little matchup. Definitely a lot of potential matchups between these 4 in the near future. And it's a great preview for what's upcoming at Revolution. While not the best go-home show I've seen, this was a lot of fun. It forward certain storylines. and sets up maybe some betrayals at Revolution. I guess we're going to have to wait and see. So that is my review for these two shows. I hope you all enjoyed. Monday is going to be my reviews for SmackDown and Collision, and then I'll also give the results for AEW Revolution. Hopefully you guys all enjoyed, and until next time, happy wrestling, everybody. Peace.